job.
It's another glorious day here. It must be about 30 degrees, or at least it's warming up to it. It's lovely sunny weather. The river is warm. It's nothing like home. We've been talking about installing wood burner when we get back. That's very different to what it is here.
Well, where I came from in Colorado before we left, it was 40 some odd degrees Fahrenheit, putting it roughly around the 2 to 3 degrees Celsius mark. So,
Oh yeah, I'm talking in Celsius. Oh, and we've got our first person in the first heat. That's Seth Chappelle. He absolutely killed it in the first World Cup, and he's just dropping in for his first ride in this second World Cup, dropping into the wave. Looking straight for the air blunt, very nice move, and back air blunt, very good, not wasting any time. Blunt the other way with air. And then he's sizing up for the next move. What's it going to be? A massive flashback.
clean. It looked like he tried to do that clean. Oh, catching a little edge there. He is going for all of these on-paddle side moves first because they have that offside, which is harder to throw as he goes. There's one of them right there, that offside blunt to the left.
Yeah, and he's not really stopped moving the whole time he was in there. Unfortunate flush there, but he only had 10 seconds left. The key to this feature is keep the boat moving. And you'll see that in the top men's runs. They're constantly going move after move after move every time they come down the wave, because every time you do a move, it sets you up for the next one. So if you don't hit your move, then you've got some work to do to try and get yourself back to the top and ready for the next one.
And one of the most important things we have seen was, as you establish it, if you get on there nicely, it sends you into your first pass automatically. And if you miss that first pass, it seems to really set a bad tone for the rest of the ride. So those who have been hitting their first pass dead on, even if it's a roundhouse, they seem to be doing better in their ride than waiting and trying to reset up after establishing.
Yeah, and it's interesting actually because the eddy has a couple of little curlers, diagonal curlers coming out of it. And if you catch one of those curlers just right, it sets you up in exactly the right place. You can drop into the wave and bomb down straight into your first move. If you don't quite catch those curlers, you can be fighting your way all the way out there and then catch the wave over in the wrong place. So it really determines the start of your ride.
All right, there we go. 396 points. He has set the bar there. This is the preliminary format, so he'll have at least one more ride to add to that if he has any say over it. He's qualified into finals with that. As we look upstream now to look at Dane Jackson coming all the way across. And it's interesting to see which side they pick. Dane is a right-sided paddler, so was Seth. Right under the middle of that, and here's that first pass. Beautiful blunt with air. Back blunt with air the other direction. Real similar to what Seth just threw. There's the blunt with air to the right side. Dane, of course, can bring huge Pan Ams as well as he's back Pan Amming around. Possible blunt, possible Pan Am, but definitely a flush.
Yeah, it's tricky actually. You don't really see it very much, but there's a little flume going up the middle of the wave. So you've actually got two pockets, one on the right and one on the left. And if you land your move not quite right and you hit that middle flume, it'll carry you straight off. Unfortunately, that's what happened to Dane.
Replay really quite nice to have here. Watch this in slow motion. We could really dissect these rides afterward and see just what their score was about, whether they got the air bonuses, the clean bonuses, possible huge. See about that flume right here as he goes in for this move that flushed him.
Yeah, there it is.
Just bubbled right up.
Catch too much green and it'll push you straight through the pile. I'll tell you what though, he's got a lot more to give. It's a very solid first ride, but he's got a lot more to give.
Well, the good news is, in this preliminary format, 4 paddlers, we did lose one paddler to an injury. Zach Zwanenberg of Canada would have been in here, and he was actually a pretty good contender as well. So down to 4 paddlers, even with the 5th paddler, it would have been, so long as you have points, you qualify into finals. It's just a matter of where do they go, first, second, third, fourth. In this case, with the 4th place spot or the top spot being the advantage. Here we go, Harry Price from Great Britain.
Yeah, here comes Harry Price. He's right up on the shoulder. Unfortunately, he didn't quite get a good line out of the eddy, and it carried him straight up onto that shoulder. Like I said before, if you don't get a good line out of the eddy and you don't catch one of those nice little curlers, you're going to be fighting your way all the way across. And because he's only got half a paddle, it's much harder.
Yeah, well, you know what they say, half the paddle.
Twice the man?
No, twice the swims. That's I have officially made that joke in every commentation of C1 forever, and it's a groaner. Everyone on the live stream right now is like, oh. It's
Oh,
true.
not Hojo and his dad jokes again.
Yeah, yeah. But no, it is quite challenging, and it's really wonderful to see. What's great at watching Seth and Dane and others, they stick their hand in the water. Like they'll actually drop their hand down in sort of a brace maneuver. And we are missing an individual on the sheet. Maybe he's on this other page. No, he's not. So we are not seeing US's Jordan Poffenberger, and I'm not
Oh.
entirely sure why.
No, next heat.
Okay, we got
End of the
two
next heat.
heats here. All right,
Yeah.
so these guys are not automatically qualified through. I apologize. There's a whole nother heat. Tom Dole switching paddles right there as he establishes with a left-handed paddle stroke, then getting into this right side. There's that nice blunt coming around, backing it up, putting points on the board. So we have a whole nother heat after this. There are two men's heats as we do the nice back blunt there. Tom looking for that backstab.
I'm not even sure what that was. I'd say that was more like a pistol flip.
Looks like
Oh,
maybe a pistol flip. Yeah.
Offside, huge pistol flip.
Going
Pretty
for
incredible. Going for the back Pan Am as well. Clean back Pan Am, I may add. Now that was a big ride. Really big ride.
I was not expecting that. We all saw it and went, did we see that right? That was awesome. Doing the pistol flip there with
Well,
the C1.
I did say he's going to be coming out with something to prove because he didn't do what he wanted to do in the last World Cup. And this is the one that I kind of think counts a bit more because this is where the World Championships are going to be next year. So if you're going to prove yourself, this is the feature to do it on.
That is right. And it's pretty fascinating to watch how he has to watch out for the bow cutting across that paddle with that single paddle blade. You don't lift it out of the water the same way because your hand stays in that T-grip across the center of your body. And there it is right there. Nope, that was just the back blunt. Maybe a back pan on that. He got pretty vertical, but I think that was under 90, so.
There it is. Yep, offside, back, pistol flip. Pretty incredible.
Tom Dole of France setting down a 315-point score. Going to slot him into the second place spot. So forward paddles this heat. Next heat, we're going to see a five paddler heat, including Landon Miller, who was not in World Cup 1. So that'll be kind of fun.
I guess Tom didn't quite get that massive back Pan Am at the end there because what the judges are saying is you have to establish a surf afterwards. So if you land it in the wave, but when you land it, it carries you off, it doesn't count.
Interesting. And we've seen that this whole time where people have been flushing right on a move, and we're not quite sure where the flush line has been determined, or how the judges, head judge Danny O'Brien making that call, and they've been pretty consistent with it, it seems, even if it's a very high bar to set. So here we go, Seth Chappelle coming in.
Going straight for a big, clean blunt to the left. He doesn't stop moving this boat around. He knows exactly what he needs to do. Getting ready for a back blunt, maybe a back roundhouse. Another big blunt to the right. Back blunt with air. He's really keeping that boat moving. I wonder what else he's got for us. Is it going to be a flashback?
Seth Chappelle, father, expecting another one, huge blunt there, back blunt. And his wife, they pulled a joke on me the other day, convinced me they were having triplets. And I'm like, oh my gosh. They're like, no, that's not it. I was totally sold as he goes for a huge Pan Am.
Oh, and a big back Pan Am as well, right on the buzzer. That was an incredible ride, and that's really going to push that top score up. He's got an unconfirmed score at the moment of 696. He's nearly doubled his first ride.
Yeah, this is looking really good for Seth. Again, he has medaled before. I don't know if he's had a full World Championship medal. He'll be looking for that next year. However, he has an OC1 World Championship medal, and he's placed second in the Worlds. He didn't put any of his World Cup finishes. I don't know how many World Cups he's actually been to, but he's been an 8-time U.S. team member from 03 all the way to 19. So Seth Chappelle really making short work of this. With it's gone even higher.
Yeah, it just keeps going up. Oh, I jinxed it.
Well, we can't be too nice to Seth.
I'll tell you what, I did see him walking around with a couple of medals around his neck after the first World Cup.
That's right. He's a contender, no two ways about it. Nice retention after those. He's getting his body out of the water and getting off of that green water as fast as you possibly can with a single paddle blade there.
That back Pan Am on the buzzer was ridiculous. It's really telling of how big the ride's going to be when you know the judges are taking this much time just to make sure they get everything right. And it can actually be a bit of a an advantage to you over the next paddler because they have to sit around and wait while your score's being added up.
That's right. I'm going to turn the mic over here to Corey Sheehan for a little bit. He's going to continue the commentation. We're at this, picking it up for Dane Jackson's ride now as this score settles.
Yeah, and Dane's no stranger to competition, so I'm sure he sat in the eddy with quite a cool head. And we've got a final score in there of 816.67, so that'll push him right up into first place again, doubling his previous score, which is pretty incredible. And we've got Corey sat next to me. Welcome, Corey.
Thank you, Alan. Glad to be here. Got some really world-class competition here. Lots of post-world champions. Dane here dropping on. I think that's a familiar name for most people. Going for the big clean air blunt to start it off with. Clean blunt the other direction. Oh, almost flushing off the back here, but he stays retentive. It's going to be a big thing in this competition in every division, being able to stay in the wave for your whole 45-second ride. Throwing another flurry of tricks. Going for the over vertical Pan Am. Setting up for another backstab. Really linking all those small tricks together. Going for a more vertical backstab there. Staying on the wave. 10 seconds left. What's he going to do? Setting up for one last big trick. Big back Pan Am on the buzzer.
Huge Pan Am.
We think he's going to be happy with that ride. Scores are going up. Much better than the first ride. He was able to stay retentive the entire time.
Yeah, he really kept the boat moving that entire time. Dropping now for move after move. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Like Hojo had mentioned, it's really important to be able to throw every pass. Once you miss one, it can be hard to get set up again. Dane Jackson doing a great job maintaining control the whole time, being able to throw tricks even on the small passes.
I don't know how he recovered from that almost flush early on in his ride, right up on that middle flume. He was right up on the bubble.
I'm all too familiar with that spot, Alan, and I must say it usually ends with a flushing off of the back and thinking, oh my goodness, I didn't want to be there.
You mean for us mere humans?
And for us mere humans, yes. These C1 scores are very impressive. I think they'll be pushing up there with many of the men, even in the top 20.
Yeah, and we've got a confirmed score there of 721 points. So that should push him into second place, I think, with a really solid score. But I'm sure he won't be happy with that. He's going to be aiming for the top spot. And now dropping in, we've got Harry Price from Great Britain. Unfortunately, flushed through on that shoulder in his first ride.
Oh.
And it's a real shame for Harry. He's done the same thing again.
So many of these C1 paddlers paddle dominantly on their right-hand side, and it makes that ferry out to the wave very difficult because that water's wanting to push you to your left where you don't even have a blade in the water. A lot of paddlers struggling and being nervous about being able to make that ferry with just one blade.
Yeah, we saw Tom Dole switching paddle blades as he was going out, which is probably quite a smart move. I mean, I've got 2 paddle blades, and I was struggling to get out there into the right spot, so I can't say
Me
much.
as well. I wonder if we'll see more paddlers adapt as the competition goes on, start switching like Tom did.
Well, we're currently on the preliminary round for these C1ers, and that means that they get best 2 rides out of 4. So Harry's still got 2 rides. He's still got a really good chance to make it up onto the leaderboard and score some points because it's classed as a non-attainable feature, which means you cannot paddle back up once you've flushed, which means that we get 2 rides out of 4 for preliminaries rather than 2 rides and 2 count. It's 4 rides and 2 count.
So Tom out here dropping onto the wave, doing that switching technique we had mentioned.
Dropping in and going for his first move. Didn't quite pull it round, got about halfway, but I'm sure he's going to go for it again. There it is. Looks a bit like a roundhouse to the right to me, and then clean spinning round to finish it. Looks like the judges gave him spin and roundhouse. Oh, looked like he was almost going for that pistol flip again, pretty early on in the ride, and
Yes.
a bit closer to the shoulder than I.
Oh. Oh my gosh, and still in. That is unbelievable. Oh, but didn't quite hang on there.
This really is a fickle feature. If you take your eye off the ball for just for a second, it will punish you.
Absolutely. When sitting on your knees, too, you don't quite have the balance position that we get in the kayak. Sitting nice, a little bit further down, knees spread out, a little bit more room to be stable in the kayak. C1's certainly harder to keep that stability on a turbulent wave like that.
Tom's confirmed rides come in at 15 points, which is nowhere near his first ride score, but it still keeps him quite high up that leaderboard. I'm sure he'll be looking to do a lot more in the next ride, though.
Certainly. We hope to see that pistol flip come back. That's not a trick we see a lot of paddlers try, especially in the C1 division.
That edge catch was brutal.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wish that on anyone.
You can take some beat downs out here. This is as close to we get to ocean surfing and kayaking. You can get some downtime.
We're going to be going back up to the top of the heat again with Seth Chappelle just in a few seconds' time. Waiting to see him out on the eddy.
Seth having an absolutely unbelievable performance today. We haven't seen him in a world international level competition in quite some time. Big competitor, many world championships, but the last few ones he's been starting a family, running business, and working on establishing that side of his life. So we're happy to see him back out competing, and he clearly still has it, wouldn't you say, Alan?
Oh yeah, pretty incredible. Like I said before, he was wandering around with a couple of medals around his neck after the first World Cup, so he's probably going to be riding that high still. And as you can see, he's top of the leaderboard. Here he is, splashing his face, getting ready. I think he's got the green light to go. He's eyeing up his spot on the wave.
And his second ride was twice his first ride, so I think he's still thinking he can push those scores up.
Can he double it
even
again?
higher. I think he can. I think he can. We'll have to see.
Okay, dropping in. He's right over on that shoulder. Yeah, nice blunt to start. Backing it up, back blunt. He's really got a solid routine, and then blunt the other way.
Ooh. Can he stay? Oh, just flushing off the back there.
Yeah, caught the back end, and unfortunately that flume through the middle pushed him out.
What do you think, Alan? Being backwards scarier than being forwards?
Yeah, probably. Only slightly.
Only slightly? I'm always worried about that when I'm backwards. I think catching the stern is, I can't quite see where I'm going. I'm always worried about that.
Oh yeah, normally I'm quite happy backwards, but here it picks you up and dumps you every so often, so you don't really know if it's going to do that when you turn around backwards looking for a back blunt. But if you want the big points, you've got to go for it backwards as well.
Absolutely, you gotta take some risks on a wave like this, and that's why we have 4 runs in the preliminary round. We can encourage people to get some higher scores, not be too concerned about flushing out of the feature, because as we said, this is unattainable. So once you come out, you will not be able to get back in for the remainder of your time on that run.
So we got a confirmed third ride score of 200 points. So Seth will remain in the same place with the same score for now. I mean, he is top of the leaderboard, so that's no bad thing. And dropping in now, we've got Mr. Dane Jackson. Probably a familiar face and name to most of the kayaking community. He's a multiple world champion, and he's looking to continue that this year with the World Cups. Dropping straight in for a nice, big, clean blunt. And big blunt the other way, backing it up, not quite getting it. I think that was a roundhouse.
It might have been.
I think I'm going to have to remind him of that later. Going for the back blunt with air. What's he setting up for next? Big flashback, clean flashback the other way. Going for it again, maybe going for a back Pan Am. Oh, and cheeky Pan Am off the front, going left. What's next? What's next? Big back Pan Am and clean as well. Oh, and he goes for the pistol flip, and he's retained it. Still has time.
That was a fantastic ride. I think he's going to be happy with that one.
Yeah, so the best scoring ride so far, 816.67 from Seth Chappelle. So got to wait and see if he's going to beat that. I've got a feeling like it should be up there. He's only on 730 at the moment, but the judges haven't given a final score yet.
Very impressive ride, taking almost every pass, knocking out all those small tricks, moving into the bigger ones. He got that rare pistol flip, looked very clean over the top. I think judges are going to be happy to score him those points.
Yeah, and if he's sitting around that 700 mark, that along with his second ride score will push him up into first place by about 200 points, I think. So he's done what he needs to do for now.
Looking very clean, trying to stay retentive that whole time. Such a big thing in this kind of competition, having the whole 45 seconds to use. Very, very important to stay in that wave.
I'd like to see that pistol flip again. It looks like it might be coming up soon. It was interesting seeing him go for the helix at the end, which is incredibly difficult in a C1. Ah, here it comes, here it comes.
Oh, that was just beautiful, pulling right over the top. That's what we like to see. Nice and aerial.
They must have given him a huge on that.
I was going to ask you think that's a huge bonus?
It looked a little bit like he did a shove it afterwards.
Maybe a combo. And that helix was almost there, potentially after the buzzer anyways, but very hard to land those with only one blade.
Yeah, so that score has come in at 803.33, which has pushed him right up to the top of the leaderboard at 1,525 combined 2 best runs so far.
My goodness, 300 points above the next person.
In the K1, Dane hit somewhere around 2,000 points, so I think he's probably going to be aiming for that in the C1 as well. Now dropping in, we've got Harry Price from Great Britain. He missed the wave the first couple of times, but he's doing that switched
There we go,
paddle
and he's
technique.
made it. Trying to set up for that first trick, going backwards.
Oh, an
Fortunate
unfortunate
cutting.
edge catch.
Oh, Harry's really going to need a big ride on his third one, but I think, or fourth one, but I think he can do it.
Well, you know, Harry's been paddling K1 for a very long time now. He's very successful and a really incredible paddler in his K1. He hasn't been competing in C1 for very long, whereas all these other guys have been. They've done lots of international competition, and they've been doing it for quite some time, so they're bringing a lot of experience. Harry, unfortunately, hasn't got any points yet after his third ride, but he could still score some on his fourth ride. If he could get a couple of 100 points, then that might be enough. We've only got 2 heats, so we've only got 9 people in this men's C1 category, so there's definitely a chance he could still make it in there.
So they're looking to be top 5 after today to go on to finals tomorrow. Is that right, Alan?
Yeah, I believe so. Dropping in now, we've got Tom Dole again, looking to try and beat his previous ride score. Big blunt to start, and unfortunately, that shoulder over on the other side caught him. It's really good for pulling you up to the top, but if you catch too much of it, it will carry you straight off.
That was some advice I got from Dane yesterday. He said stay away from that left shoulder.
Yeah, so basically you want to stay away from the left shoulder too much. Don't go on the right shoulder too much. Don't land your moves too hard or too badly in the middle, and you'll be all right.
Yes, it's a very, very narrow pocket where the tricks can be done well and where they can stay retentive in the wave. And those things are not always going together. Sometimes the easiest place to throw big is not always the best place to land the trick.
No, but it is a lovely wave when you get it right, and it gives you a massive bounce. You can get some really big moves. I'm really enjoying it.
Big fan of this competition spot. Lots and lots of fun. You can just throw so many tricks back to back, like we said. Sets you up perfectly each pass. Really unique spot in that way.
Yeah, honestly, this has been an absolutely incredible competition. The local community is so welcoming. We've had several social dinners, get-togethers. We've been looked after. We've got free drinks, all sorts of things. Lovely warm weather, warm water. It doesn't get much better than that, especially when you've got a really fun feature like this.
Wonderful venue here in Columbus, Georgia. We thank everyone who put their hard work into making this competition happen. Truly unique urban setting here.
So next up, we've got Seth Chappelle, previous leader of the scores. He's going to try and beat Dane Jackson's previous ride of 803.33, I'm sure. He's now dropping into the wave. Let's see what he's got to do. Oh, straight into a big blunt with air to start, and then going for that big back blunt with air, of course. There's the flashback we like to see. And is it going to be a blunt next? Off the right side, there it is.
Staying retentive in the feature. Getting set up for that next trick. Catching a bit of an edge, but staying there, staying in the wave.
Yeah, nice roll in the hole there.
It's impressive, not easy to do that.
It is not. Oh, looking for a huge back Pan Am clean on his offside. Pretty incredible. It's interesting how they use their hand as if the paddle's there, because turning your body is enough to turn the boat. And he's looking for the pistol flip. Woo! And he retains it.
Will that be enough to push him up into first place?
Quick wave to the crowd before he cruised off. That was a very stylish run. So we've got a score at the moment of 640 points, but the judges are still trying to figure out where he's going to end up. We want to see his score keep coming up bit by bit, hopefully. That pistol flip at the end was lovely.
And right on time.
It's interesting, actually, if you surf over on the surfer's right side, you can get bigger air, but it also smashes you around a little bit. But he used that pop to his advantage that time.
He certainly did, and he stayed retentive, landing right in the feature, no doubt about that. That pistol flip can be hard to stick because you land so hard on your stern, it can pull you right off the wave.
We just saw him pulling a move and landing right up at the top, so it just shows how if you go from move to move, it puts you in the right place for the next one. So if you can keep it flowing, then you're going to do well. And we've got a confirmed score in there of 640 points for Seth on his 4th ride. Unfortunately, not quite catching up with Dane, but still in a ridiculously good place in 2nd place, way above anyone else.
I think he's going to feel confident with those rides going into finals.
And here comes Dane Jackson. I'm sure he's going to try and up his score even more. It's good practice for him anyway. There's that first big move and dropping in with a back blunt with air, right blunt with air. What's next? Is it going to be backwards? I think it's going to be maybe a flashback. There he goes. Little cartwheel end there.
Doing some variety of tricks.
Oh,
Good
big
Pan
clean
Am.
Pan Am on his offside. Do you think we're going to see another one of those big pistol flips?
I was just wondering about that, or perhaps the big flashbacks.
Ooh.
Oh, we haven't seen that trick yet.
No.
Now, what's that called, Alan?
I mean, usually it's a bread and butter if you go one way then the other. I think he's looking for a link points on the right blunt to back blunt there. So if you can do several moves in one fluid motion from one to the next, then you get extra points. You get link points. You can also get huge points, air points, and all those bonuses really add up when it comes to a feature like this.
Absolutely. This is how these athletes, this is going to be the difference between 1st and 2nd and 3rd. Those links really start to add up, especially if you do them multiple times. Bonuses can be really big when it comes down to it. A huge bonus can be worth almost as much as another trick.
Just looking at that replay, look at the size of that back Pan Am on his offside as well. I mean, who needs a paddle blade?
Apparently not Dane Jackson.
He was in his K1 heat yesterday. His back band broke, and then I saw him frantically running around trying to fix it. He was still top of the leaderboard. There's no stopping this guy.
Unbelievable.
Still waiting for a confirmed final score for Dane. Currently sitting at 571. Oh, there you go, 585 now. Is it going to increase his lead? We just have to wait and see. 595.
So this would have to go up another 100 points to beat his lowest score that is still counting, the 721.
It's a tense time if you're a paddler on the water, but I don't think Dane really minds because he's already well clear in 1st place, so he's definitely going to be going into the next round.
I think he's certainly feeling pretty confident with those scores he's thrown down. Some really good, consistent rides there.
Yeah, and that was run 4 for Dane, so it was his final run of this morning. You'll see him on again a bit later in the K1, and his scores just jumped up again to 601.67 to see if it comes up any more. I would say fingers crossed for him, but he doesn't need it. He's there already.
Yeah, I think he's feeling pretty comfortable. Probably unlikely this would bump up another 100 points, but who knows, they might be looking at one of those big tricks to see if they can add some big bonuses. And like I said, a huge bonus can be worth almost as much as another trick.
Oh yeah, and those links really add up onto the score. I mean, I don't know if it's favoritism, but the paddler I'm really rooting for is Harry Price. I really want to see him get on that wave and score some points.
I want to see what he can do. Fantastic paddler in a kayak, always impressed with what he does. I've never personally seen him paddle a C1, so I'm really looking forward to him throwing down.
And we've got a final score there for Dane Jackson of 618.33. So he'll keep his 2nd and his 3rd ride scores, which add up to a 1,525 points. And here he comes, the man of the moment, Harry Price. Carving out of the eddy. Is he going to do the paddle switch? Sticking to the left side, dropping in. There's the paddle switch. Surfing around, trying to get up to the top, turning around backwards, looking maybe for a back Pan Am.
We don't see a lot of athletes going straight to the back tricks.
No, but he knows he needs to score big points, and I'd say that was a lovely back Pan Am. We'll have to see what the judges
Looks good
say.
to me.
I wonder if he was clear enough of the foam pile. Looking for the blunt the other way. He's got stuck a little bit there on his offside because he hasn't got a paddle to support himself. So to score these wave tricks, you need to be clear of the foam pile, which is a tricky part. Unfortunately, flushing on a big blunt to the left. We'll have to wait and see if the judges are able to give him anything for that. Unfortunately, if you land the trick and it seems like you've finished it, but when you land it carries you off, it doesn't count. Surfing around sideways there on the replay. And unfortunately, it's 0 points for Harry on all of his rides. Really sorry to see that for him.
Yeah, I was hoping that back Pan Am would have counted there.
Yeah, it looked really good to me. But we're not judges.
We are not.
That's
we're up here for a reason.
Yep. Sat here chatting to you lovely people.
Judges have lots and lots of training. There's really specific ways that the tricks can be thrown. They're trained to just make those minute, last-minute choices about that. Very, very difficult job being able to decipher all these tricks and figure out what counts and what doesn't.
It looked like we were going to have a front loop straight off the bat for Tom Dole there. And instead, massive back Pan Am clean and a clean air blunt off the left side. So he's already ticking up the points. What's he going to go for next? He's surfing around on that surfer's right side. It kicks you up a bit. Going for a pistol flip, but unfortunately catching an edge, and that's pushed him off. So that's going to be the end of Tom's ride. That was his 4th ride. His last chance to up his place.
What do we think? Will he be safe with these rides? Looks like it'll come in around 500 points total.
Well, we're going to have to wait and see who's coming up in the next round. We've got a few contenders in there. Jordan Poffenberger, that would be really interesting to see, amongst many of the others.
Landon Miller, the current world champion in C1, going to be seeing what he can do on a wave. Very, very familiar with the holes, and I think a lot of athletes are transitioning. A lot of these ICF events happen in a hole, which is sort of more of a smaller, more attentive feature. You're doing more front flip looping tricks, switching here now to the waves where you're trying to get that bounce and that pop in a slightly different way, rotating differently, and just a different set of tricks altogether, wouldn't you say, Alan?
Oh yeah, and to be honest, I just got distracted a little bit then because I saw that savage edge catch for Tom Dole. It was in slow-mo, it was even more brutal.
Yeah, we're having some big crashes today and some big tricks, which is fun to add both sides of the competition. Really got to maintain control.
So our next heat is going to be coming up at 1 o'clock local time, which is in 13 minutes. So if you need to get up and stretch your legs, make sure you come back. Go grab yourself a cup of tea, cup of coffee, or depending on where you are in the world, maybe a cheeky cold fizzy beverage. Anyway, I've been Alan Ward, and he's been
Corey Sheehan.
right, we're just about 5 minutes away from the continuation of this men's C1 class. Stand by, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to bring it to you here shortly. You see Michael, Mason, Makasia, Landon, and Jordan. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see there, we are... Oh, it looks like Mason has dropped out of C1. Shoulders bothering him. So, unfortunately, Mason is not going to be in the C1 class. So we got a scratch there. It's going to make this class just a little bit shorter. That's unfortunate. I just got a text from him. But that's fine because he gets to focus on the men's. And that's what he wants to do. He already pulled the gold out of the first World Cup, so he is really gunning to be the hometown hero here. Otherwise, we have Michael. Oh, okay. He pronounces for me.
Muscovich? I'd say Muscovich.
He pronounces it Mijuskovic. Mijuskovic. And then we have Makasia McCurry from the U.S. He is actually one of our slalom paddlers that has come into the freestyle world. Landon Miller, he was a junior. I think he might be transitioning here pretty soon. There's no junior senior class in this one. He is both C and OC. And sure enough, he is going to be in the OC class here shortly. This guy in Nottingham brought his OC boat out and just immediately threw McNasty's both directions.
No way.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Except for in finals, where he struggled, couldn't get him out, and left the door open for Zach Swanenberg and the German Josef to come take away the medals. So.
Oh, well, it's always interesting to see how people cope with the pressure as they go through the rounds. It can either inspire you or it can crush you, and it's a brutal thing.
That's right. And then, of course, we have Jordan Poffenberger. He has a former world champion. He took the OC and C1 World Championships. I believe it was C1. OC for sure in 2013, and I believe OC in 2015 Worlds as well. So Jordan, one of our judges. His wife's also a judge. They contribute a lot to this community. Now we're going to see these guys throw down. Michael, of course, being one of the local heroes here out of the Ocoee region, not too far away. He is sponsored by none other than Tacoe.
Tacoe?
Yeah, the best tacos on the Ocoee.
Oh.
I'm not even making it up. Like, that's
Really?
real. That exists. There's a couple of paddlers, actually, that I think work and are helped out by Tacoe.
How do I get that?
You've got to live in Georgia, or in this case, I believe he lives in Ocoee, Tennessee. And yeah, it's a pretty good thing. Are you saying there's not a lot of taco shops in the UK that sponsor paddlers?
Well, there's not enough taco shops there at all.
Oh, well.
We get burritos, quite like a good burrito. Anyway, here we are with our first paddler.
Now, I don't know if he did that flip on purpose or not, but he started upside down, and here he is. Michael looking for his first ride. He is still on the feature and just flushes there. This is his first world competition. He came out and threw around in the C1 and OC1 up at Ambush and just had a blast.
You know, his name wasn't actually up on the screen when he went then, so maybe he just caught an edge as he went out, and then that was it. Had to just get on with it.
There you go. You're on. Go.
Yep. But he's got 4 rides, so that was only his first ride, and it's best 2 out of 4 that count because, as I said earlier, this is an unobtainable feature, so you cannot paddle back in once you flush off. So we get extra chance to score points. Normally it would be 2 rides and 2 count, which is pretty hard odds, especially if you've travelled as far as I have. But this competition is different. So he's going to be coming back up. That'll be one of his throwaway rides, and then we'll see him score a lot more, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Up next, Makasia McCurry. And you can see here, this is a slalom paddler. That beautiful cross stroke. You can tell he has been in an actual slalom seaboat. Super calm going out into this feature. Hopefully he can catch it much better than Michael Cannon. He cannot. You can see his face. He was not happy with that. But again, as you just stated, he'd get 3 more chances. This guy has all the power in the world. He can absolutely catch that feature. But it does look like it's getting a little green there on that right side. Just now looking at it, definitely the foam pile disappeared on him right there.
It is peaking up a bit, and it surges. It's quite an interesting feature. It surges higher and lower. If you drop on at the wrong time, you can have an unfortunate timing, and it can green out, and it can just wash you straight off. But he looks so comfortable in his boat, probably because of his slalom background, and I think he's probably not going to want to do what some of the other guys have done, and that's switch paddle blades. But it works so well for Tom Dole. He paddles out with a paddle blade on one side, and then as he drops on, he switches back to a strong side, because unless you paddle coincidentally on the right side, then you're going to have a tough ferry glide out.
That is the truth. That's a decision those guys have to make. So this is going to bring us now around to Landon Miller. Again, was not in the first competition, just couldn't quite make it happen, and that's typical. It happens. This is the more important of the two, since this is the preview for what's to come in a year's time when we have World Championships right here at Goodwave.
Yeah, it's a great practice for both the people who have set up this incredible event and also the paddlers. It's a nice time to come out, lovely time of year, nice and warm water, doesn't get much better. And you can tell that the competitors from the United States are pretty keen because this whole heat is US based.
That's right. Okay, Landon coming down. He's going to establish now. He's a powerhouse. Right into the blunt to the left, putting a little air into that boat. We'll see if they give him the air bonus on that. Huge back blunt to the right, putting definite air under that boat. Going now maybe for those Pan Am attempts, trying to get that bow all the way vertical. Blunt to the right with air. He's coming here to win a medal, ladies and gentlemen. He wants to demonstrate to Dane and to Tom and to Seth that he is going to fight it out. Every point matters, as he's already to 220, 230 points into this ride.
And that was incredible. He's really going bigger. Huge back, clean Pan Am. And then he's going for the KY, or Blunt McNasty. Unfortunately, just as he landed, it carried him through. But that was an astonishing first ride from Landon. Really, really skilled. And it's interesting to see that a lot of these guys are going for the same sort of routine. They're going front blunt into back blunt, front blunt the other way into back blunt. Then they're going for the Pan Ams. They're going for... I mean, I haven't seen any air screws yet, but we've seen a lot of those in the K1 categories. I'd really like to see one of these guys go for an air screw. We saw a helix attempt from Dane earlier, but when you've only got one paddle blade, it's really difficult to pull it through either the first or the second part because you need that second paddle blade for the helix. So, I mean, do you think we're going to see any helixes or air screws from these guys?
You know, from this class, maybe Jordan. Landon, I don't know if he's got an air screw in his quiver, so it's doubtful. But you never know. It will be fascinating to watch to see what he brings us. Air screw for sure. I mean, you don't really need the other paddle blade for the air screw. It's really all in the hips. Helix, on the other hand, that definitely is. It's going to be much more of a challenge.
It's all in the hips.
All in the hips.
I mean, if they get through their run plan, they're probably going to be going for those bigger moves, as you can see. So if one of the guys, if they get the blunts, they get the back blunts, they get the Pan Ams, then they're going for the Blunt McNasty. If they get the Blunt McNasty, I would love to see a big helix or a nice big air screw.
Hopefully in the semis we'll start to see a preview of that. Still sitting at 385. Why do you guys call it the KY?
You know, I don't know. I think that's probably a question for Clay. Clay seems to be the all-knowledgeable font of kayaking moves.
That is true. You know, I've heard you guys talking about the KY, and I was like, okay, well, that's a Blunt McNasty. Of course, then we also have, like, the backstab, the pistol flip, which there's alternate names for those, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, a pistol flip, depending on whether you do it on a wave or in a hole, it usually gets called a McNasty or a pistol flip. But they're really weird names. But It's one of those things, it shows how entertaining and comedic these paddlers are. If they make up a new move, they get to call it whatever they want. And I know that McNasty was named, I think, by Eric Jackson back in the day because he loved his McDonald's. But other food establishments are available, of course.
That's true. And actually, I do know, too, that somebody had invented something called the Orbit, and then EJ added in that back loop where I guess they were doing it at night and they could see the moon, so he named that the Lunar Orbit.
Oh,
So that's the origin of that name. And I'm sure you sit him down. We actually had this discussion. I prompted EJ for something. They're still discussing Landon's score. I'm not sure what's going on here. This is one of the longest discussions over. There it goes, 385 points. But I'd asked EJ, hey, you know what my favorite move is? And I said the Wave Monkey, and of course, without even thinking what I was talking about, he launches into the history of the Wave Monkey. And behind us, everyone starts to argue about if he's right or not. It was hilarious.
Yeah, people do love having a big discussion about what scores, how it scores, what a move is, but that just shows how passionate we are about what we're doing. And dropping into the wave now, Jordan Poffenberger going straight for a big, clean Pan Am. He's sitting sideways, carving back up to the top. Just missed that pass, unfortunately, but he's got a big blunt to the right next, and then he's looking for that back blunt, maybe a back roundhouse. There's the air screw. I wonder what the judges scored it.
Well, we'll see. The 220 points, if it comes up. Oh, man, he is just getting worked. He's not getting this third pass. He's like, what is going on? Why is my bow going under? He's in a very unique, one-of-a-kind carbon prototype liquid logic, and so he is hunting out the rest of his few seconds. There's the helix. You were wondering, and there it is. Going the other way even, an offside helix with one paddle blade completely on the wrong side, 543 points. Right now, Dane's scores, he and Seth threw down scores of 800 and 700 points, 800 and 600 points. Right now, he's threatening that 600-point range, 543, so he's going to put himself up with one ride into top three.
Straight into top three. And it was really nice to see that air screw attempt. It might have been a donkey flip, but catching a couple of edges, one after the other. It's really quite punishing over on that surfer's right side. It builds you up for big air, but if you catch it just not quite right, then it will punish you.
All right, here comes Michael. He flipped trying to get out the first time. Talk about a place you don't want to flip above. That's going to be a wild ride if you can't make your roll. Pops over. Did he retain? He does not. Oh, unfortunately, that score was in the way. That's good for him. We didn't want to see it. He didn't want us to see it. Again, still 2 more rides. He can bring some more points. He's quite capable. He is really here to have fun. He's not been a world competitor in any way, shape, or form. Matter of fact, I don't believe he's competed at all. So it's near to his home. He knows these people. He's good friends with these folks. And canoe boat riding, as I like to call it, it's definitely more of a niche. So the people who do it love it. They live and breathe it. So he wants to come here and show people, hey, I don't think I could go out and flush with a sea boat without serious consequences.
I tell you what, talking about niches, we're going to have the OC one coming up a bit later, and I'm really looking forward to that. That could be really entertaining. I want to see what they can throw before their boat fills up with water and makes it way harder and way heavier.
Oh yeah, and it's one of those things. If they get that thing sideways in this, it's an immediate fill. Whereas a hole, sometimes they can throw the roundhouses and maybe even a blunt in a hole, or that wave hole we saw in ambush without getting too much water. This one is, we're flowing 9,000 cubic feet in the river per second. This is about 3,000. So 3,000 cubic feet of water in 1 second flowing into a tiny little hole of a boat. It's going to fill up fast.
Oh, yes, it is. And now dropping in, we've got Mikaja going for a move to the left. He's made it into the feature this time, which is good to see. He is our seasoned slalom paddler. I think this is his first freestyle competition. Keeping that boat moving. He's not quite getting the turns that he wants to get, but there's a nice pass. I'd say that was a really good roundhouse. It looks like the judges rewarded him for that one. He's maybe got a couple of other little turns in. Oh, and he's going for the flashback. We're not quite getting it. It's right up on the shoulder. Is he going to get dropped? No, he's managed to come out of it. He's looking for something else. Going for a lovely blunt to the right on his onside. Maybe even with a little bit of air. Coming back over to that surfer's right side. It looked a bit like he was going for a wave monkey there, which is a cross bow pirouette into a loop. And this is that would be quite an incredible thing to see.
That would be glorious if he could do that. Taking a little bit of practice here. He can take this now. After their rides, he knows the judges are going to settle the score. He can take a little bit of time. Looking at his ride, sets it up much better this time. He definitely knows what he's doing in that boat. A dagger, we're not seeing too many daggers out here. It's predominantly your Jacksons and your Giggies. However, in the seaboat category, we have a whole bunch of different boats. This is definitely our varied boats. And of course, like you say, OC, Blackfly is the main manufacturer. There's probably some handmade boats out there. It is a kaleidoscope of watercraft. So there we go, 66.67 points. That's going to put him onto the board and in 6th place. This is cut to finals. They will not go to a semifinal, so this is all cut to finals as we bring up Landon Miller.
Yeah, so they're going to be trying to get into that top 5 spot in this heat. They already know how many points the guys before them did, so they know what to aim for. Nice big air blunt on his offside there to start. Unfortunately, the landing caught that green water and it's carried him off. But he looks really happy. He's still smiling. And, you know, I always say the most important thing is that you're having fun. If I wasn't having fun, I wouldn't be on the water.
That is absolutely the case. This guy does have fun. They even creek boat out there in these plastic sea boats that they've converted for freestyle. I believe he also has some of the more classic canoes that they like, the Blackfly option, things like that. And his dad also competed for the U.S. in Worlds in both C and OC boats. They're both very, very capable canoe paddlers. And Landon's actually also participated in the K class.
All right.
He did not qualify through, I don't believe. We'll take a look at the list here, but I don't believe he qualified into semifinals, but did come out here and throw some points down on the board in kayaks.
Well, while you're having a look, he got 56.67 confirmed, which puts him about 441 points, which is a very respectable score.
Yeah, it puts him right up into the 5th place spot, or holding down the 5th place spot. So right now, Jordan Poffenberger, who's currently sitting in 3rd, he's going to want to come in and put some more points down. And he, with this ride, if he doesn't flush, and I don't think he will, he does threaten to get up into the 2nd place spot if he can throw maybe a 600 or 700 here and a 600 or 700 after this one. But right now, he's pretty much fighting it out for his own place of 3rd place.
Yeah, so that puts Landon on what we call the bubble position. He is the bubble boy, so he's going to want to come back in, score a lot more points, and make sure he can have a bit more of a relaxing afternoon.
Exactly, and the only one who can threaten him now, however, is Michael and Micah.
So we've got Jordan Poffenberger dropped in with a huge air blunt to start on his offside, so it was a clean as well. So 2 different, well, maybe 3 different bonuses there. Looks like he's going for a roundhouse the other way, big back blunt with air. And there's the maybe even super clean blunt the other way. Unfortunately, the landing carried him off, but he's quite happy because he knows he's already done enough.
Absolutely, and it's interesting to see they go in for that clean, and even though he might not have used his paddle, right at the end it touches the water, and the judges have to make that decision. Was that actually clean? That first one, paddle way out of the water. As we look at, I think it's his 3rd move where he picks it right up, and we'll take a look here.
Yeah, the best thing really to do is sell all of your moves to judges. If you're going to do a clean blunt, make sure that paddle's out. Maybe even get your pinkies up. Really make sure that they can see that you're not using your blade.
That's it right there. That looks clean to me, and unfortunately that was the flush.
But at what cost? Maybe it would have been better if he'd put in a recovery stroke there and he could have stayed on, but that's one of those things that you can look back on and say easily, but it's hard in the moment.
That's right. So this is going to keep Jordan in 2nd or 3rd place with 875 points combined. We're going to go back to the top of the heat, and I'm going to turn the mic over to Mr. Corey Sheehan.
I wonder what we're going to see in this next ride. Maybe we'll see another one of those lovely air screws or a helix. Only time will tell. So next up, we're back up to Michael on the top of the heat. He is just getting ready in the eddy, and he is just peeling out, looking to catch that little diagonal to carry him out. Bit of cross bow action. Here we go, dropping into the wave, right on that shoulder, ready for a big move. Surfing around, taking it a bit easy. Keep that boat moving, carving around. And unfortunately, he's caught a little bit too much that shoulder. It's one of those things we were talking about earlier, wasn't it? Like, you don't want to catch too much shoulder on the right. You don't want to catch too much on the left. You want to be careful when you land, otherwise this wave can punish you, but it can also reward you with massive air.
Absolutely. Very, very difficult wave. big upsides. You can get a lot of air comes with that power, but definitely have to be able to stay controlled. And having half the paddle in a C1 makes that even more difficult.
So that was the first of run 3 for this heat, and they have 4 runs, best 2 count. So Michael's still got time to throw some points down and get back up that leaderboard a little bit.
Certainly, and definitely making improvements. Made it on the wave easily that time, did some surfing, looking more comfortable. It's very, very hard to perform on this wave, especially under the kind of pressure these athletes are under.
Yeah, and he got his practice roll out of the way on his first ride, so that's always good. You never know, we might do one of those later.
I certainly will be doing some practice rolls eventually. Probably in the wave, I hope.
Yeah, and hopefully in the air.
Hopefully in the air. Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we've got Makaja dropping back in. He is our seasoned slalom paddler with that lovely crossbow stroke. He looks really comfortable in that boat, dropping into the surfer's right-hand side. Surfing around a little bit, carving it up. He's got a nice drop. Is he going to... No, not quite. Not happy with that one. He's looking for something bigger, something better. There's the blunt on his on side. That should kick up the points a little bit. I see the judges are rewarding him already. Maybe with a roundhouse at 15 points. What's he going to do next? Oh, going for an air screw on his offside on the shoulder there.
Very, very ambitious move. Very, very high scoring, but easy to flush. Wasn't quite able to pull it through, but nearly stuck it retentive in the feature.
Yeah, and he did it quite early on in his ride as well. It's one of those things, once you get more and more seasoned, you know that you need to do your easier tricks towards the start throwing your harder tricks towards the end, those ones that might flush off with the big points, because you need to get your scores down before you start going for the big stuff and chance throwing yourself off the back of the wave.
Certainly, we're seeing that with the big scores. Landon Miller out here wanting to get a big score. Going to want to start with those smaller tricks like you're saying and work into those bigger tricks.
Landon just dropping onto the wave, going straight in for a blunt on the clean side. And huge back Pan-Am on his offside. Absolutely incredible, and stuck it as well. Going for what looked like a bit of maybe an aerial roundhouse on his onside. I keep saying onside and offside because that's the side his paddle is either on or not. Looking for the KY.
Oh, he stuck it.
That blunt McNasty, that's worth a lot of points. I think 200 and something points, 250 maybe. So if he's got that, that's going to really push his score up.
Very, very high scoring trick. Landon very comfortable with those hole moves. He kept asking me if he could do that trick out here, and I encouraged him, Landon, go do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an intimidating feature, so for someone to be doing that in a C1, that's really quite impressive, and retaining it as well. I think we saw one of those from Dane Jackson earlier, so it looks like Landon's really going to be trying to keep up with Dane and maybe even and push that score up a bit higher.
Certainly. We'll see what the judges give him on this. Already 460, very solid run. Scores are usually going up as the judges tally over all those bonuses that he got.
Oh, don't jinx it. It is still going up, though. It's gone up to 473.33. Some incredible stuff on the replay. Is that the big... There's that huge, clean, offside back Pan-Am. Really amazing to see. I wish I could do those.
Very, very hard to throw offside. Something that the C1ers have to do. A lot of these tricks it's mandatory that they're clean because you can only use your paddle blade on one side of the trick, the start or the finish.
There's that blunt McNasty, a.k.a. the KY, straight into another big move. It's really nice to see these replays. They come up with them so quickly and we can see it all in slow-mo. It's either rewarding or not because every so often there's a wipeout and you have to watch that in slow-mo. So I don't know. When I watch mine back, I definitely skip past those bits. 503.33 unconfirmed. That's going to put him... Yeah, really high up there.
Yeah, it looks like that'll be higher than his first ride score, which is his current leading score. Has the potential to push him up the leaderboard.
What time are you paddling later, Corey?
I believe I'm paddling at 3:30 in the first heat.
So fans, family, friends, tune in at that time to see him paddling?
Yes, please do. Come watch me. Hopefully you'll have something good to celebrate, and regardless, yeah, it's going to be fun.
As long as you have a good time, that's the most important part, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, we got a confirmed score in at 503.33, so his best 2 scores added up to 888.33 at the moment. He's going to have one more, so he could even push that a bit higher. Dropping in next is Jordan Poffenberger. He is in that beautiful black carbon liquid logic prototype. He's been protoing this for about 12 years, adjusting it how he wants, so I'm expecting big things again from him. Big air screw straight off the bat.
We're not seeing those from very many of the C1ers. Why do you think that is, Alan?
I mean, I think as we go through the rounds, we're going to see more and more of them. We saw a huge, maybe clean Pan Am as well just after it. Not sure what he's trying to do there, though. It's tricky when you're stuck on your offside. But it looks like he's turned it around. He's quite happy. He's getting ready for something. Maybe he's getting ready for something. There it is, the offside helix. That's an incredible move to be trying to throw in a C1. Unfortunately, it carried him off the wave, but he already knows that he is through, so he's going for those harder tricks and practicing them for the next round.
Smart move there. Try some of the harder tricks when the competition's less intense. You've already made it through. Going for that last helix, that's very ambitious. That's a very, very difficult trick in the C1. I don't think I could ever personally learn it, but these guys seem to make it look easy.
Oh, I don't know. I could give it a go.
In a C1, I don't know.
You got to be in it to win it, as they say.
This is true. This is true.
And if you really are comfortable in those C1s, they're sat on their knees, so they're sat much higher, which means their center of gravity is higher. So it's one of two different things. It's either more unstable, or you can use that extra leverage to really throw the boat around and score even bigger points and bigger bonuses. So his confirmed third ride score is coming in at 283.33. So he'll keep his first and second ride scores added together. But there's one more ride. He already knows he's up there, so it's going to be interesting to see what he does next time round.
Certainly.
The pressure's off, so why not try something big?
Definitely. I want to see if he can stick that helix retentive.
Okay, here we go. Michael is unfortunately catching the shoulder again on his fourth ride. That's really sad to see. But I mean, it's the same as Harry Price. So if you've got paddlers like Harry Price doing that, then it's going to be something that you've got to be really wary of.
Definitely, definitely. Very, very hard to make it out. Like we were saying, most of these C1ers hold their blade in their right hand. That is basically a left-handed ferry, so they're having to do that big cross-bow motion over and over. Very difficult to make it out there.
Do you fancy trying that in your K1? A cross bow out to the wave?
I wouldn't fancy it, but I would try it.
Well, I'm going to hold you to your word on that one. I'm certainly not going to do it. So we're just counting down the seconds of Michael's ride, and the judges will be getting ready for the next competitor, who is going to be Mikaja McCurry again, number 40, bib number 40. Looks like he's getting ready in the eddy. He's got a smile on his face. Having a good time out here in the sunshine with the warm water. Okay, here we go. He is peeling out of the eddy, looking to catch that nice little radial at the top, make life easier for himself with that crossbow stroke, dropping right out into the middle.
KJ looking very, very comfortable in this boat. You can tell he's been here before. He knows the boat. He knows the wave.
Some big bounces at the start there as well. Look, he's going crossbow again. I don't know if he's going for the wave monkey or just for a crossbow blunt.
I'm not sure either. We'll have to check in later with him, see what he has to say.
Some nice roundhouses there. He's keeping the boat moving. I don't know if that back roundhouse was clear of the foam pile or not, but I'm sure the judges will figure that out. He's going for the donkey flip, maybe?
Donkey flip or perhaps an over-rotated Pan Am. Either way, very, very big error.
Yeah, really impressive. Trouble is, he was a bit too much on that surface right shoulder, unfortunately, so as he landed, it carried him off. And those shoulders, they've got such fast-moving water going through them. They're really good if you can use them to pull yourself up the wave, set you up for your next move. But if you hang around too long on them, they're going to pull you off.
Certainly, maybe a good place to set up, not the best place to throw tricks.
Yeah, don't hang out there for too long. We've got a confirmed final ride of 48.33. So Mikaja is going to take that and his second ride, which add up to 115 points. I'd say that's pretty damn impressive.
I agree, certainly. Sitting in 6th overall right now, if I'm seeing this correctly.
Okay, and Landon Miller carving out onto the feature. He is in 4th place. He's already secured his spot, so it could be interesting to see if he just throws down. And he is. There you go, straight off the bat with a big Pan Am, big back Pan Am, both on his offside, both clean, and going for another blunt. What's coming up next? Oh, didn't quite make that back blunt, but he's going back the other way for another big air blunt. Carving around, what are we going to see? He's taking his time to set up. Oh, that was a weird sort of half aerial spin there.
I'm not sure what they'll give him for that, but he certainly had the air part.
It looks like he's going for that blunt McNasty. Is he? Unfortunately, He caught his edge and it carried him over onto the shoulder and popped him out. But, you know, I don't think he's going to mind. He's already through to the next round. He looked like he was having a really good time. And it's just a chance to try those harder tricks ready for the next round. Look at the size of that.
Huge Pan Am right off the bat, wasting no time, right into the back Pan Am.
Big back Pan Am.
Very impressive stuff from Landon. I think his score is going to go up. His second score that's contributing to that's counting is a 385, so it looks like he is going to be bumped up. We don't know if that'll be enough to, oh, and it does. He overtakes Jordan in the third place position.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what Jordan has to say about that in his next ride. It looked like he was going for some of those bonus points. Now, you can get a bonus for a few different things. You can get a clean bonus, and that's when you do a move without using your paddle. You can get a huge bonus. That's when you go really, really big, and it's when the moves are really quite impressive, way out of the water. And I think the judges were saying if you do an air screw, you score your huge bonus if it's at least a boat out of the water, boat thickness out of the water.
I did not know that. That's good to know, Alan.
Yeah, so Jordan dropped in. Let's see what he's got for us, surfing around. It's actually, it's a lot harder in there than it looks. It really throws you around, and there's quite a big foam pile.
Certainly very exhausting trying to set up two, trying to work with the wave. Going for that KY, not quite sticking it, getting the motion right, but just floating off. That's what we were saying. He landed perfectly in the middle. There's that strange little V there, and just flushing off, just barely.
Yeah, but you can tell he knows he's through. He's happy, so all he's really doing is practicing those big moves. It's a shame that he flushed off because it would have been good to see what else he had in store for us, but he knows he's through, he's happy, so life's good.
Life's good.
Tell you what, it's a bit of a whitewash of American paddlers today for this C1 class. We got
really
1 to 4 of US paddlers, and then Tom Dole taking 5th place from France.
Yes, definitely a lot of Americans here. Like to see people who may not necessarily be flying over to Worlds in Europe having a chance to compete here. So what's nice about the World Cups is they are open to anyone. So you can have anyone from your hometown hero to an international competitor like Alan here. Everybody gets the same opportunities. We're all out here having fun. Very unique event. Lots of good spectating. Beautiful sky. Great time here in Columbus, Georgia.
And you've got the final scores from this round up on your screen there. So we've got in first place Dane Jackson, second Seth Chappell, third Landon Miller, fourth Jordan Poffenberger, and fifth Tom Dole. They're going to progress through to the next round, to the finals, and they're going to be in reverse order. And we've now got a short break. It's currently local time 1:28. The next thing coming up will be the women's C1, and that will be at 1:45. So we're going to sign off, have a breather, and so can you. Let's see you back in about 15 minutes. Hello, we are back. I am Alan Ward, and I am joined here by my buddy
Corey Sheehan.
And next up, in about 1 minute, we're going to have the women's C1 category. This is going to be their preliminary round. They will have, like the others, they will have 4 rides, best to count. And this is quite a new class. We had our first experience of the women's C1 category at the World Championships earlier this year in Nottingham. We're going to have 5 paddlers in this heat, and 5 overall actually. So they will progress straight through to the finals as long as they can score some points. So we will see what they have for us very, very soon. First up, we're going to have Holly Reppert, then Sophie Gilfillan, Jack Fantastic, Charlie Kearns, and Ottilie Robinson-Shaw. It's going to be interesting to see what Ottie's got for us. I believe she is the women's C1 current world champion. She's also a world champion in the K1 and world champion in the squirt.
Very accomplished all-around athlete in Audie. Holly's dropping in, just barely flushing off of the wave. As we saw, several of the men missing this feature in the C1s. Very, very difficult. Going to see if these gals can get out there. It's going to be, I would say, at least half of the challenge, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, especially if you're using your C1 paddle on the right-hand side, because you're peeling out to the left as you come out of this eddy. So, as we saw with the men's C1, some of them were switching blades to make it a lot easier for themselves. It is quite tricky to get out there and get into the right place, into that surfer's right pocket. It says here that Holly's nickname is Tiny but Mighty. Her previous World Championships result was 9th in the C1 women for the Nottingham World Championships earlier this year. So we've got to see if she's going to be aiming for something a bit higher in this competition. That will be the end of her ride, unfortunately, for run 1, but she's got 3 more to see if she can score some points. Who have we got next up?
We've got Sophie Gilfillan. She is coming out of Canada, currently a student at World Class Academy. They travel all over the world, kayaking in different places. Very well-rounded athlete. I believe she does slalom, freestyle, very familiar on waves. The Ottawa River Valley, where she spends most of her time in the summer, is known for being the best place in the world probably to kayak waves.
Her favorite food is pesto pasta. Her other hobbies, reading. She is currently a student. She lives in the Ottawa Valley, so she's probably used to paddling these lovely big bouncy waves. And her nickname is Bear. She, under her best achievements, she's listed rescuing hundreds of worms from the road when it rains. So she clearly loves nature.
Well, we thank you for your service. We all try to rescue the worms, but probably not quite that many. We'd love to see it. Fortunately, we have not had any rain recently, so she's been able to focus on kayaking.
Yeah, it's a tough job, but someone's got to save them. So here we go for Sophie's first run. She's coming up to the top of the eddy, switching paddle blades so that she can make the ferry glide out. She's looking very comfortable, very strong, switching back to the other paddle blade.
Absolutely, making that ferry look easy. Wow.
Looks like she was going straight for the spin right off the bat. Unfortunately, caught her edge on that right shoulder, which sent her off. But she was looking really comfortable in there, so I think we're going to see big things on her next 3 rides.
I agree. I feel pretty confident. Very, very smooth getting out to the wave. Had a bit of a catch on that edge, like we said. That just happens. Almost stayed retentive. Wasn't able to quite roll up quick enough. But I think some points are certainly going to be scored on her next 3 rides.
So next up, we've got Jack Fantastic from Great Britain.
That is just an awesome name.
Isn't it?
Or should I say a fantastic name?
Absolutely. It says here that she is still kayaking after 2 broken hips this year.
Oh.
That is really impressive.
Ouch. Apparently a very tough gal out here. I would say you probably use your hips quite a lot in C1, but has not stopped her.
No, it has not. And she has listed her favorite place to go kayaking as Hurley Weir, which is my local spot. Here she is, dropping in, right up on the top. Can she make it back in? Unfortunately, she caught that middle flume. You really have to catch either the right or the left pocket, otherwise it's going to blast you straight off. It's really unfortunate for Jack. I'm sure she's going to do better in the next rides.
Certainly was able to get out to the wave, though. Didn't look like that was a struggle. Looking smooth, comfortable in the boat. That makes a big difference. I think we're going to see some big tricks next round.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Next up, we've got Charlie Kearns. Unfortunately, we haven't got any information on Charlie, so maybe we should just make some up.
I believe I know Charlie. She's a raft guide at the Ocoee, or at least was. The Ocoee River is one of the most rafted rivers in the entire world. It's outside of Atlanta, Georgia, kind of on the other direction. We're some direction from Atlanta, and they're the other direction from Atlanta. Not the most geographical person here. I mostly stick to announcing and kayaking, but she's paddling this slicey boat, very typical in this part of the country. We like to paddle these old school boats. This boat is probably older than I am, somewhere in the 20-year-old range, and she is making it look brand new.
Oh, that makes me feel old. That is such an incredible boat. It's an icon. Taking a real tumble in the feature there, tumbling again. I mean, it's a long boat, so it's so easy to catch those ends when you're in that wave because it's quite steep. But honestly, I think the XXX is one of those incredible boats that everyone would like to have part of their collection.
Definitely a great kayak. Able to stay in the wave after that first tumble, I was impressed, but just once you tumble once, it's like the next one's coming right there. Very hard to stay in control. These slicey boats are very, very narrow, very thin. We call them slicey boats because they're designed to slice like a knife through butter right through the water. Great for blunts. Could be hard to do the bigger tricks, but very, very fun.
Yeah, that replay wasn't being very kind for her, but hopefully she's got more in her next ride. But next up, finishing off the first rides of this heat, we've got Ottilie Robinson-Shaw. And as I said before, multiple world champion. She's got sponsors, the list is as long as my arm. Best achievement that she thinks is her senior world championship gold in K1 in Nottingham earlier this year. She's from Great Britain. She's been on the team for many years now. She kayaks because it's fun. So, you know, same as me, really.
I think same as most of us, fortunately.
Dropping into the feature now, taking a little bit of a support stroke there. Unfortunately carrying straight through the wave. But someone so accomplished as Ottie, I'm sure we're going to see much bigger things on her next ride.
Certainly, definitely. We can just see how difficult it is. She is a world champion, very, very comfortable in that kayak, and it can still happen. You can still miss the wave. Like we say, you got to be careful of the left, the right, and the middle. So not a clear spot. Dane would probably tell you there's a really obvious spot there that you can throw all your tricks at, but lots of things to be careful of. But boy, when it just goes, and I think it's going to go for these gals, we're going to see some big air, some great tricks. But in the C1, just being able to catch the wave seems to me like half the battle. I don't think I could get out there in a C1 without a lot of practice.
I'm going to try and tackle her list of sponsors. We got Jackson Kayak, Pro Youth, Sandy Line, Ophium Paddles, Square Rock, Kent Canoes, and she hasn't put her parents on there, so big shout out to them as well.
That's awesome. I think a lot of young kayakers sponsored by their parents. I know I was in the same boat, so I want to give a shout out to everybody.
We're gonna rotate back round to the top of the list again with Holly, also known as Tiny but Mighty. I'm not sure, it kind of looked like she went for that shoulder on purpose that time for some reason. Or maybe she just didn't quite make the turn in time.
Looks like she might have gotten turned at the top and tried to commit to it. Really difficult if you lose your ferry angle. You know, the water's kind of pushing. You got to have the right angle so you're still moving out into the current. Once you lose it, it can be very difficult to get it back. Kayaks spin pretty easily, but not that easily. You can definitely get locked into the wrong angle, the wrong direction, on and off the wave. Very difficult maneuver here to try to catch this wave in a C1 for sure.
It says here that Holly is sponsored by Bus Bar and Grill, so she gets free malty beverages.
I might have to pick up that sponsor as well. That's fantastic.
It also says that her current residence is a 1998 Dodge Ram van, so she really is a true believer of the whole wintering grounds ethos that we've got going on here.
Absolutely. I think I've seen that van driving around. Lots of athletes elect to live in mobile vehicles just because of the flexibility that it provides. This is a common training ground, as we've seen in the winter time. A lot of other places even now are getting pretty chilly. Here it's 75, 80 degrees every day. In the winter it'll be in the 60s, 70s. You just don't see that in other places. It's icing over. What's your home spot look like right now, Alan?
Right now it's closed, to be honest. My home spot is Hurley Weir in the Thames Valley in Great Britain, and unless we get a lot more rain, it's going to stay closed. But we get all sorts of different variants of it. We get hole, a wave, and then there's lots of other weirs around the Thames Valley that I'm looking forward to paddling this winter. But enough of me, because Sophie's dropping back in. Here she goes. She's got a paddle on the left side, so it makes that ferry glide much easier. Switching over to the right and dropping in. She unfortunately catches that middle flume. It's too easy to do. I did it in my rides. She's done it in hers. So many other people before her have.
Man, hard to watch these athletes. I know what they're capable of. I know they want to catch that wave, want to stay on there. So difficult.
So next up, we are going to go back to Jack Fantastic. Her sponsors are listed as Immersion Research Europe and Freefall Paddles. She was a junior at the Graz World Championships in 2003. Just like me, we were paddling in the Terminator hole, as it was affectionately known.
Ooh.
And it was one of those interesting ones because you were sat at the top, you saw your buddy paddle down there and drop in, and then the next thing you see is them paddling as hard as they can trying to get out while they get sucked back into it backwards.
Oh.
So it was one of those ones where if you wanted to stay in, you came out. If you wanted to come out, it was taking you back in. So it was an interesting competition, especially when it's your first competition and you're a little bit green and you're 16 and you think you're the best kayaker in the world, and you drop in there and ignore everyone else, and suddenly it's very humbling.
Terminator sounds aptly named then.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it wasn't great. We've got a little bit a different type of C1 going on at the moment on the live feed. Looks like they're trying to get a nice spot to sit and watch these ladies compete. We're just waiting for our next competitor to come up any minute now. I'm not sure why these ladies, one of them's got a full face helmet on.
Yeah, you know, this is an RMR shredder. This is a raft basically made in Colorado, and we see these all over the place running the rapids. I've actually run Class 5 in one of these, but it's the original shredder. This is not the original. This is a different one, but it's so fun to watch these guys come through. And here we go, starting them off.
Here's Jack Fantastic dropping into the feature. She's made it in, and she's established a really nice front surf. She looks really pleased with herself. Going for a shove it straight away. I mean, I'd give it. Let's hope the judges do. Oh, and a lovely blunt as well on her onside. Looks like the judges are giving her the shove it and maybe some more points as well. Not sure, she's going a bit too far over there, but she's got some points. Well done, Jack. She's going to be pleased with herself. Before she dropped in, she said that she was feeling a bit nervous about this wave because it is quite intimidating, especially when you're kneeling up with only one paddle blade. So I think she's done really well.
Coming to the top of the leaderboard there, scoring some points. This is what we expected to see. Getting some shove-its, getting a spin. They can be very strict with some of the scoring. You have to be completely backwards to score a shove-it. That looked like a pretty good roundhouse to me.
Yeah, so we've only got 5 competitors in the women's C1, so all they're really doing is making sure they score some points so they can progress to the finals. So Jack has done that, so she's going to be really pleased. I think every ride after that, the pressure is going to be off. So dropping in next, we've got Charlie Kearns in her incredibly stylish Wave Sport XXX. She's having a great time. She's in the front surf. She's smiling to the crowd. What's she going to go for? Cruising around. Turning that boat around, getting caught on the shoulder a little bit there. Looks like she's going for a shove it maybe. She's loving life. Using the whole wave all the way over on the other side. She needs to be careful, and that unfortunately that surfer's left shoulder has carried her off. But she's got some points.
Looks like they may be giving her a shove it. I think I saw a shove it looking good. That boat is a good bit longer than the other boats, so it can be difficult to spin around sometimes.
I'd definitely give her a shove it. I thought she did really well.
She's having fun though. We see the smile. We see her working. This wave could be called workout wave amply, honestly. There's a workout wave up here at the top, which is also quite exhausting. But boy, I was getting really tired during my rides yesterday. You're throwing down. You're trying to stay in control. It is just like an all-out battle to stay in control in this wave, don't you think, Alan?
It is exhausting in there, honestly, is especially when if you miss a pass, then you're just going to be really working hard to get to the top so that you can come down with some speed. Next up, we've got Ottilie Robinson-Shaw again. Hello to everyone all around the world who's watching this incredibly talented paddler drop into the feature. She's switching paddle blades like so many people are. She's dropped in. She's on the wave, established a nice front surf into a back surf, going straight for that back blunt. Unfortunately, she caught a little bit too much of the green water and it's pushed her off. And maybe she didn't come through with quite enough speed to finish that move off, but she's a seasoned competitor, so she knows what she needs to do. She's still got 2 more rides. It's best 2 of 4, so I'm sure we'll see her in the finals.
Think we will. She just needs to score some points. Even if something as simple as a spin can get you into finals. So all the women out here looking to get those spins, get those shove-its, work on those blunts and roundhouses.
I think we should say hello to her coach, who I know will be watching, Dennis Newton, aka Super Coach, as she affectionately calls him. It's also worth mentioning that a great day for Ottie is sunshine, friends, and a great hole or wave to paddle. And I think that's so true for pretty much everyone out here on the water. It's all about having fun with your friends in the sunshine. Unfortunately, Ottie's got a confirmed score of 0 there, but I'm sure she'll be scoring some more points on the next ride.
Certainly, she's definitely got the tricks, lots of variety. A lot of her scores are up there with the men's. I think some of her scores in squirt might have been higher than the men's actually in World Championships. Holly back out here trying to get on the wave, having a hard time maintaining that ferry angle.
It's good to see her on the water, it really is, but she unfortunately missed the wave last time and this time. She had a bit of a turn there. I don't know if the eddy line didn't quite line her up well for the wave, but unfortunately she just flushed straight over that shoulder on the surfer's right. But she's still got 1 more ride. She's not going to be doing anything more in this ride, unfortunately, because you can't get back on once you've gone down. There's no eddy service for this wave, so it does make it tricky. You have to make sure you retain all of your moves. But Holly's going to have another try very shortly. But we are going to move on to our second person in this heat for run 3, Sophie Gilfillan, the Canadian paddler. It'd be interesting to see what she's got to throw down in this next ride.
I agree. Sophie looking very strong in her boat, very comfortable, having a hard time staying on that wave and staying retentive like so many athletes. But she has got the tricks. And she looks comfortable in the boat. You know, it's very hard to look smooth, even just paddling around in flat water in a C1. They can be very tippy, very hard to go straight, and she looks like she's got the skills.
Yes, she has. And it says here that she started kayaking in freestyle to get used to big water for slalom, and like so many people, she's been hooked ever since.
That's cool.
Slalom's a great type of part of the sport, but I know what I'd be doing.
Very, very different styles. You don't see a ton of athletes who really have the diversity. It's cool to see athletes like her who can do slalom, downriver, freestyle, waves, and holds, C1 and K1. Very, very impressive to have such a diverse skill set.
So I know her coach Caleb Grady is going to be on the side cheering her on. She's on the wave, turn around backwards, come around forwards, unfortunately catching that flume through the middle like so many people have. That's a real shame to see because she started so strong with a couple of paddle switches as she came out to make sure she caught the wave. She was straight into the middle of it, looked really good, really natural, but unfortunately catching that flume and pushing her off. Be interesting to see what she's got for us on her 4th and final ride.
So I think this presents some unique strategy because this is technically just a seeding round. There's not enough athletes to actually cut down to a finals is always with 5, and there's 5 paddlers here. But you do need to score some points to be able to go to finals. So maybe instead of trying to go for those big tricks like we usually see, starting with the spins and the shove-its, just because anything will get you through to the next round. We won't necessarily see people going straight into those big tricks because it's just not as necessary. Being first is important, but being in finals is really what these gals are going for, right?
Yeah, the most important thing is you get through to the next round. Keep going through, and then throw down the big moves. Dropping into the feature now, Jack Fantastic from Great Britain. She's already through to the next round. She's got 10 points. She's top of our leaderboard, and the only one to score so far. She's gone for that blunt to the right. I wonder if that scored some air. It was really nice.
Looks good. I think judges are giving her some points there. Going for the background house potentially.
Yeah, she's
Getting
making
some air
sure that
there.
she's staying up on that leaderboard, right?
Absolutely.
Surfing around. Unfortunately, she fell over just there and caught that edge, pushed her off, but not before she scored some really good points. That blunt was really sweet.
Great, definitely getting the aerial. We always look to clear the foam. Looks like she certainly did that. Scores locked in at 25 points. That's going to be 35 overall, putting her on top of the leaderboard. That is the score to beat.
Yeah, high and clear, but there are some people coming up who I'm sure can challenge that. We've got Charlie Kearns coming up next, and then Otti Robinson-Shaw. And like we were talking about before, she's been dropping in and going for those big moves, but maybe she's going to change her tactics and go for something a bit quick, bit easier first.
I wonder if we'll see her change her tactics. I was just wondering about that. Charlie with a bit of the faster boat in the Triple X, being able to get out to that wave pretty easily, making it look good. Little bit gets surfed too far out on that shoulder, wasn't quite able to keep it retentive.
It was a lovely front surf though. She looked like she was having a good time again, and that's what it's all about.
Certainly, certainly. You know, it's difficult with the longer boats. You don't see it as much with the short boats, but the front end can catch directly. A lot of these athletes are catching their side edges when they're sideways or backwards, but that front end can catch, and a boat that's 2 inches longer really is a lot easier to catch. So you see her leaning back, trying to pull up on her knees, keep that front end out of the water so she doesn't flip.
Absolutely. So unfortunately we got a confirmed score of her third ride as 0, so she's currently sitting with 0 points. That leaderboard is looking wide open for pretty much anyone at the moment. We've only got Jack Fantastic right at the top there. And it'll be interesting to see what Otti Robinson-Shaw has to say about that, because she usually throws down on so many points that she challenges not only the top ladies but the top men's scores as well. So here she goes. She's coming across the eddy line. Is she going to switch paddle blades? We're yet to see. Cruising out on that nice radial. No, she's going to stick true and keep it on the right side, dropping into the wave. Turning around to a back surf. Is she going to be conservative, or is she just going to go for the big points? She's going for the big points. Going for a back Pan Am on her offside. Still retaining. Looks like the judges are rewarding her. Unfortunately flushed off, but that was a brilliant move.
Big, very high scoring trick. A lot of difficulty, a lot of technique goes into it, and she just totally stuck it. That was what I was waiting to see.
There it is. Looks great on the replay. And I mean, we were talking about scoring conservatively, but Otti's not interested in that. She's only interested in the big points, so she'd much rather drop in there, do an incredible move, and flush off and be done. 130 points unconfirmed so far, but I think we're going to see her fly up to the top of the leaderboard.
I think so. That is a big score. It's going to be very hard to beat. Just shows you how much those big tricks can rack up. That's 2, maybe 3 blunts combined to get to that score, where it's just one big back Pan Am. The over vertical trick scoring a lot higher there.
Yeah, so that is the end of the third rides for these ladies. We are now going back up to the top of the heat list with Holly Repper. Let's see whether she's going to be able to jump on the wave this time. Oh, unfortunately she's carried on down past it. Now, I wonder whether she knows if she needs to score some points to get through to the next round, because at the moment we've only got 2 competitors confirmed into the final.
Yeah, Holly potentially struggling getting out on that wave. We would hope the rules would be clear for everybody, but it is a unique rule. A lot of times we don't necessarily think about that because we're always just thinking about scoring points instead of just having the point minimums. But that is what we're looking at here.
Yeah, it's
making it through to finals.
It's a rule that came in, I believe, something to do with the OC1. Back in, I think it was Toon World Championships, which was 2007 maybe. And some of those guys were making it through quite far into the competition without scoring any points, because it's so tricky to score points in those boats on the wave that we were paddling on. So they brought in this new rule, and I think it's a tough rule, but it's something that otherwise, you know, you've got to set the standard, I suppose.
I agree, and I think it adds a an interesting element of challenge here because certainly they're competing for the best spot. You know, always these athletes are looking to win the preliminary round so that they're seated at the very back of the heat and final so they know exactly what score they have to beat to get that gold. That is certainly what these athletes are going for, but they are also going for that spot in finals.
Absolutely, and we've got our next competitor dropping in now, Sophie Gilfillan from Canada. She is cruising across that eddy line. She's using her paddle on the left so that she can get across, switching back to the right, which is her preferred side. Dropped into a front surf. She looks happy and confident. She's in the middle there, which is a bit of a dangerous place to be, maybe. Looked like she got
Is she going to score that shove it?
Yeah, maybe. The judges haven't rewarded it yet, but I'd definitely give it to her. Looking for the spin. Very nice. Spin to the right. And now the score comes up, so she's going to get through to the next round as long as they confirm that score.
That's what I was talking about earlier. We know she can throw those big tricks. We know she wants to compete for that gold medal, but just to drop in, get those points so she knows she's through to finals, she can relax as long as they give this to her. Looks like they're just confirming it. The score is confirmed. She's going to finals.
Yeah, so we've got 3 of these ladies through so far. Let's hope we can get another person through. So up next we're going to have Jack Fantastic. She's already through, so she can relax. She's currently got a combined score of 35 points, 10 on her second run and 25 on the third. Interestingly, the scores just flashed up on our screen as 0 for run 4, so I wonder whether she's actually going to take that run or maybe she's just saving herself for the finals. It looks like we might be dropping straight over to Charlie Kearns for a final ride. Yep, it looks like Jack Fantastic's dropped out. She's not going to bother with that final ride because she knows she's already through. She's going to save herself and save her energy. So dropping in now Charlie Kearns in that Wave Sport XXX. Unfortunately, washing straight through on her 4th ride. That boat really is quite long, so it's a tricky one. It's a stylish boat, but it's a tricky one. And it's a real shame to see her flush straight through. So we're just going to, when that clock times down, we're going to see the final results, hopefully.
All these women looking really good in these C1s. Very, very difficult to get out there. They're working hard. They've been training. Very difficult wave. Super technical moves. We've seen some big air. We've seen some technical moves. We've seen some good strategy with the ladies out here trying to get those point minimums. Very, very exciting round here at World Cup 2 in Columbus, Georgia.
And we've got one final competitor to go. It is Ottilie Robinson-Shaw from Great Britain. In her last ride, she dropped in, didn't mess around, just threw a huge, clean back Pan Am, like the true professional that she is. So it's going to be interesting to see what she's going to do in this one. It's looked like she's been dropping in for that back Pan Am each time, so maybe she's going to change it up and go for something else. Get a bit of practice in for the finals.
She is already sitting in first place. There's no one at this point who can top that. Everyone else has had their rides. She's going to want to do some practice, get some of those big tricks. Oh, and she just barely flushes through.
There was a lot of paddle swapping going on there. I wonder whether that was overcomplicating things a little bit too much. Some of the competitors have been switching paddle blades, but unfortunately it carried her through the feature. But interesting to see, we've got 3 of these women going through into the final, so we've already got our podium. So the worst they can do is 3rd in the world. I mean, that's not so bad.
It's pretty fantastic. So that is exciting. They can look forward to a medal. The question is, what color will it be?
Absolutely. And it's also quite nice to see 2 Brits into the final. I'm quite proud of that.
Yeah.
And 1 Canadian. So it's not quite so US heavy for that one.
Yeah, definitely a change here from the women to the men's C1. Men's very sloped in the American direction. No Americans in the finals. Interesting to see.
Yeah, and in the next round, they are going to do 3 rides, best 1 counts, and they'll announce the scores after each ride, so the competitors will know what they need to do to take the top spot back away from their peers. So our final results here are Ottie Robinson-Shaw in first with 130, Jack Fantastic in second with 35 points, Sophie Gilfillan with 10 points in third, and then we've got a joint 4th place, Holly Reppert and Charlie Kearns. So we are going to be back in 17 minutes at local time 2:30, and that is going to be for the open canoe competition. That'll be their preliminaries. They're going to be dropping on the wave, and they're going to also have best 2 out of 4 rides. But we like to give you a quick break, so take some time out, stretch your legs, and we will be back soon. I've been Alan Ward, and he's been
Corey Sheehan.
Hey, I'm Robert Watkins. On behalf of the Georgia Power Company, we want to welcome you to Columbus.
I'm Mary Sherman, Executive Director of the Columbus Sports Council. We are thrilled to welcome you to this amazing place that we are fortunate to call home. We hope you have a wonderful experience here in our community and hope you come back often.
Hey, I'm Justin Krieg from the Historic Columbus Foundation and a part of the ICF host committee. We're so excited to have you all here with us in Columbus, Georgia. We hope you have a great time.
Hi, I'm Betsy Covington. I'm on the host committee and I'm the president of the Community Foundation here. We are so glad to welcome you to this community. When you are here, you are family, and welcome to the group. Thanks.
Hey everybody, Dennis Beeson, Chamber of Commerce of East Alabama. We want to welcome you to the Chattahoochee Valley.
All right, welcome back. We are here for the Open Canoe Final. We'll be joined here by Holly Reppert in a moment. I am with...
Hi, my name is McKinley Kate Hargrove.
Very good, McKinley Kate. How did you do today in your event?
Tomorrow, but I was joined by tons of other amazing junior ladies, and I am so proud of them for putting down such a good ride.
Awesome. So right now we're going to see the Open Canoe preliminary here. We've got Seth Chappelle, Shane Brown, Landon Miller, Michael Majuskovich, Jordan Poffenberger. We will have on the list Zachary Zwanenberg. He should show in the heat list. However, he is not paddling. He's injured, and he is out today, but that's okay. He is just fine. He's in good health. He will be with us on the announcements tomorrow for the commentating. But right now, we're going to get ready for Open Canoe. Why don't you tell us a little bit about these individuals?
All our OC1s today are from the United States, so we will have a stacked of people from the United States. We will see who's going to come on top. Hold on, let me pull some information up about these certain people.
Okay, your levels here.
First up in Open Canoe, we are going to have Seth Chappelle. He placed second in 2015 Worlds in Ottawa, fourth place at tons of different Worlds. He has a lot of skill. He has a lot of skill. He has a lot of competitions under his belt, so he's going to do pretty well at this competition, I bet. My name is McKinley Kate Hargrove, and I am joined by
Charlie Kearns. Hey everybody, good afternoon. We are getting into some exciting rides here with Seth Chappelle hitting the wave.
Seth Chappelle dropping in for his first ride of preliminary rounds. He's happy to be out here. Dropping in, going in for a nice roundhouse to start things off. These guys are sitting on their knees, and they have no spray decks, so we have water all inside their kayak. They're full. The boat is so heavy, yet they still throw it around. He went in for a nice background house into a spin. He only has one paddle blade, but he's still ripping it.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting seeing what they're doing. It is incredibly exhausting as someone who used to open boat. I guess I still do on occasion, but when they fill up, as he's about to do, it's just going to be a long ride over to shore.
He ended his ride with a big air blunt, but had an unfortunate flush. It's okay. He has 4 runs for preliminaries, and the best 2 runs will be put together, and that will be their final score. Yeah.
All right, next up is Shane Brown, also from the United States. So he's a proud father of 2 great kids. This is his first competition.
We saw him a bit at Ambush earlier this week, so we are excited to see him throw down in the bigger wave. What tricks do you think that we are going to see in this competition?
Oh man, I think we're going to see a whole lot of spins. I don't know, probably both directions. I'm going to be curious to see if there's going to be any verticality into this. This is a fast wave, but the boats should be able to handle some of it. We'll just see if they can get on it.
Shane dropping in for his first ride, but having an unfortunate flush. It's okay. He still has 3 other runs. This wave is fleshy on either sides, and the middle is sticky. So we will, hopefully all the guys will be able to get one run where they stick the feature.
Yeah, and these boats are not fast, so this is an especially tough feat to do with boats that don't particularly track or, again, build up that speed like you need. But once it's on, they should be able to make some moves happen.
Oh, most definitely.
So, looks like next up we've got Landon Miller.
He is no stranger to competition. He won Worlds in Nottingham earlier this year for C1. So we will see him throw down in the open canoe. See what tricks he's going to throw. Maybe he'll throw an air screw. We'll see. I want to see someone try it, though.
Oh, that would be great.
Oh.
All right, he looks like he's using that seam, ferrying across there, getting position. There he is, nice and center.
Landon dropping in with that nice black flag, going in
Up,
straight
open,
for
yeah.
a blunt, maybe Pan Am. Going in for a back blunt, still staying retained. That is so impressive. Surfing around,
Yeah, and it's
maybe
nice.
looking for his next trick. Going for a nice roundhouse.
All right, getting some points on the board. Here we go.
Going in maybe for a McNasty.
Oh, but it flushes him off.
Nice first run for Landon, coming in around 120 points. We will wait for the judges to finalize. Also, I didn't call it out, Seth Chappelle's score came in with 35 points. Next up, we have Michael. I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name. I'm so sorry. He's also from the United States, so we'll see him try some cool tricks up on the wave. Landon's score coming in with an 156 points. That is so impressive.
Next up, we've got Mike, also known as Frenchie. This is his craft of choice.
I don't know what kind of kayak that is, but he's dropping straight into
Nice.
good wave. Having a nice front surf. That boat is probably getting full of water right now. It is getting heavier and heavier, but they're still able to bring it around the wave, but having an unfortunate flush.
He's still got some points on the board, and what's important is that this is where he does shine. You can see him often on the Ocoee, just having a big old smile with his open boat. So hopefully we'll be seeing that later on some runs.
Oh, most definitely. Next up, we will have Jordan Poffenberger, also no stranger to competition. Okay, Michael's score coming in with a 5 points, so that will put him right now into third place, with Shane Brown just right behind him.
All right, next up we have Jordan Poffenberger using that seam once again to ferry in. Can he make it? And yes, he sticks it.
Starting it off with a nice blunt into a McNasty.
Oh, and stays in it. Yes.
Nice job, Jordan. Going in for a possible clean blunt,
Oh,
but missing the feature. We will see if the judges give him that because he did stop his momentum while he was still in the foam. So we will see if the judges will give that to him. His score coming in around 250 points. So if he has that, that will put him into first place, right below Landon. As we see him right now in the replay, getting some air under that OC1.
All right, finishing up with 250 points. Jordan Poffenberger commands an impressive lead, and they all get, what, 3 more?
Yes, they get 3 more rides after this. So we're going to go to top of the leaderboard back again with Seth Chappelle. His first ride was 35 points, so he is going to want to up that score to get higher on the podium. I believe there is only 5 open canoe, so I think everyone is going to make it to the next round for finals tomorrow. But we have Seth Chappelle coming in with that nice orange kayak.
All right, nice ferry. Getting himself set up, and he should be landing. Oh! And it flushes him, unfortunately, but that was a nice, nice attempt.
We've seen a lot of even the men having bow catches when they first hit the wave. This is powerful. It is going to want to grab you and throw you around, but it is impressive that these guys can ferry out even with their boat full of water. We are waiting for Seth Chappelle's time to run out to get the next competitor, Shane Brown, a time to get in his kayak, get situated, and ready for his second run of 4. His score coming in with a 0, so we'll keep his score to a 35. He is definitely going to up his score. He's going to stay with that for a bit. Next up, we have Shane Brown. He likes pizza. He likes 90s rock. He is ready to get out here and try his go for his second run. Shane having a little bit of hard time getting over the swirly eddy.
Yep, but as long as he keeps on pushing, he might be able to make it. And just barely misses it coming off the wave, but he's got 2 more runs, so should be good.
Yes, most definitely. We're going to finish waiting for this time to come out. Also, but next up we will have Landon Miller. Landon, who also competed in the K1 and is competing in the C1. He is doing all the disciplines.
So just thinking about everything it takes to get to this feature and throw down some moves in a canoe, it's pretty impressive just to get over there, especially when you see some folks where they're just paddling on their right side, not switching blades. It really takes a lot of skill to just get on the wave to begin with, so some impressive paddling here.
It is. I can see Landon getting in his boat right now, ferrying out for his 3rd run. Oh, yes. There we go. Now it says Landon Miller dropping in for his 3rd or 2nd run. But just having...
All right, so he manages to stay in there, okay.
Coming in, having a bit of tipsy, flipping over, going in for a background house. Looking for a nice shove it there, putting some points on the board. He is currently in 2nd place, but still wanting to up his score, but having an unfortunate flush. It's okay, he still has 2 more runs. As we see in the replay, Landon getting worked in the feature, but he still maintained it and came back in.
It was beautiful.
Landon's score coming in with a 63.67, so combined at 193 points. But next up we have...
We're just going to go by Frenchie.
Michael. Frenchie.
We're going to go by Frenchie. So getting in there and gets it. Nice spin. Oh, but then he catches. Oh, keeps it. So he's dangerous on that edge there. Oh, but he keeps it in there. All right. See him go for a shove it, maybe.
Looking around the way, trying to get a good pass for his next trick.
And that spin, it looks like. And then flushes off with 6 seconds to spare.
I believe this is one of his first times trying freestyle and first competition.
Okay, so just even seeing him get on there after a first competition. So it's been really cool to see how many people have come out here for their first competition.
It is. And they're out here still putting points on the board, smiling, killing it out here.
Having a great time. And now we've got Jordan Poffenberger coming in on the wave. Does he stick it? Oh, nice.
Going in for a nice blunt, maybe pan to start things off, but having an unfortunate flush. We'll see the judges give him that blunt. Jordan Poffenberger's time finishing up. I think he will stay with his combined score of 250.
Still putting him in the lead, so looks like he may not have to worry about it, but obviously he'd want to up his score.
Next up, we're going to go back to the top of the leaderboard with everyone's third ride with Seth Chappelle.
All right, now he's making his way across that seam, catching a nice surf over there, setting himself up to be center of that wave, and he catches it.
8-time U.S. team member dropping straight into the feature, looking to set up for his next trick, going in for a nice back blunt into a front roundhouse, throwing that boat around like there's no water in it, going in for a nice back pan am, but having an unfortunate flush.
He was stacking up those points at the beginning, so we'll see what he scores.
As we see in the replay, he's getting tons of air under that OC1.
God, and those boats are so heavy. That's got to be so hard.
And there we go for his nice back blunt, possible back pan am. Getting tons of air under that kayak. His score bouncing around a 108, so we will see, and his score coming in with a 108, so combined 143.33 points. That will put him nicely into third place.
So that'll bring us to Shane Brown coming in for his third ride.
Shane's out here smiling, having fun.
Coming in. Note he's on the right side, so that makes it especially difficult to get over there, but he's making his way.
Dropping straight into
and
good wave.
He sticks it nice.
Nice work, Shane. Starting things off with a nice spin, but having an unfortunate edge grab. He still has one more run. He's going to want to try to lay down some points on the board.
He's definitely a strong paddler, so he's got something in him. So.
Oh, he is. And then that will bring us back to Landon Miller, who is currently in second place. He's wanting to up his score to overthrown Jordan on the first place. After this open canoe is over, we are going to have a little bit of a break, then men's kayak surface finals, men's kayak quarterfinals, not finals, sorry.
All right, we got Landon Miller. Nice, he's got plenty of time to set himself up for that wave.
Giving us a nice paddle twirl before he gets in the feature, showing us some style points. Going in maybe for a roundhouse, then going in for a back roundhouse back blunt. Serving around, getting set for his next trick. Maybe going for that McNasty again.
This wave's a bit fickle. You'll feel like you're set up, and then there'll be a little bit of a pop in the wave, and it kind of throws you, so.
Almost definitely. Going in for the blunt McNasty. I don't know if the judges are going to give him that, but that was a good try. Surfing around, going back surfed. Going in for a big back blunt.
Oh, but then flushes off. So he's got one more ride in him, I'm sure.
I know these guys are tired. After 4 runs, you do definitely get exhausted. His score coming in with a 63, so he will stay with his first and third ride with combined 225 points, which will put him nicely into second place. We will have up Frenchie.
All right, nice gliding over there. Got plenty of time to set himself up and sticks it. Oh, but he comes off the left-hand side. It's pretty hard. If you're not in that center, it's very easy to flush over there. It's very dangerous. I've seen a handful of people command that side, but
yeah,
it's a
the
risky
left
move.
and right shoulders are definitely fleshy.
Yeah, they're risky moves if you're going to go over there.
While we're waiting for Frenchie's time to go out, next up we will have Jordan Poffenberger. He is currently on top, but he is going to want to up his score just because.
No doubt, and I'm sure that's what they're all aiming for. All right, we've got Jordan Poffenberger coming in for his third ride. Man, he really likes to catch it on that side.
Dropping straight in, going for a nice blunt possible Pan Am, getting a lot of air under that OC1. Going in for a roundhouse right after. Back surfing it around, going in for a back blunt.
I love watching Jordan because you can tell he's judging himself more than the judges. He's shaking his head. He's not quite satisfied with his moves. He's looking to clean up his ride.
Bouncing in, going for a back Pan Am. Having an unfortunate flush right on the surfer's right side.
But at least coming in with a 156.67. We'll see if that goes up.
Pretty solid third ride for Jordan. As we see so much air under that.
Oh, see. Shaking his head in disappointment. Love it.
His score finalizing with a 150. So combined will put him 400 points. Pretty high on the leaderboard. And he still has 1 ride to go, so we'll see if he tries to up his score.
Yeah, but at the moment, sitting pretty comfortable where he's at.
We're going to go back to the top of the leaderboard with everyone's 4th and final run with Seshapal. Seth dropping straight into the feature. He is definitely making it 2 finals tomorrow. He's definitely wanting to get his name higher on the board, going in for a nice black bunt, and going into a roundhouse in back roundhouse, back bunt the other direction, butt flipping over.
He was managing to keep some tight moves back to back before he came out.
Still
so
having a pretty good score with 145.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like. We'll see if they give him any more points. All right, and that ride got him 165.
So a combined score of 273 points, which will put him into second place.
So that brings us back to Shane Brown for his final ride. We'll see what he can throw down on this wave. All right, he's got the okay. He is moving into the feature, and he flips at the eddy line. He rolls back up.
I think he's going to paddle through. It is definitely a hard eddy to get over. Even with just one paddle blade, it is so much more difficult.
Yeah, and these waves or these boats are not designed to do much more than get on the feature or be on the feature, so it makes it that much more difficult.
While we're waiting for Shane Brown's time to run through, we will have Landon Miller come in. He is at a combined of 225 points. As you see, we have the scoreboard already up there, but we still have 3 more kayakers to go to finish up this preliminary rounds. Landon just got the thumbs up from the head judge.
All right, there he goes, coming in.
Giving us a little paddle twirl. Again, some style points.
So sassy. We'll see if he can stay in his boat after he gets out. And throwing a nice move.
Spinning around, getting up on top of the wave. Going in for a back roundhouse. Waiting for a good pass. Going in for a back blunt.
Oh, but then he flips and flushes out.
I think with the score we're looking at, he is going to stay with his first and third run of a combined 225 points, which put him very comfortably in third place.
Looks like you were right, and at 225, he will be staying where he's at.
Next up, we have Frenchie, who can change the whole leaderboard. We will see what he has in store for us for his final ride of prelims.
All right, as he cuts through, note the speed of this canoe over here, just making it very smooth. Oh,
Dropping in, having an unfortunate flip, but he's still getting surfed in the feature, but just flushing
man.
out.
He fought for it. He wanted to keep in the hole, or excuse me, in the wave, but unfortunately it flushed him out.
He will still stay with his 20 points, but that will still qualify him for a spot in finals later tomorrow.
Yep, and at that point it can still be up to anyone.
Next up, for our last kayaker of prelims, we have Jordan Poppenberger. He is currently in first place So we will see if he tries to up his score even higher.
I'm just going to keep looking for his face.
Okay, sounds good. I'll call the tricks. You tell me his face expressions.
All right, sounds good.
Waiting for his score to be finalized. Okay, and we just got the thumbs up from the head judge for Jordan Poffenberger. Jordan dropping in for his last run of prelims. But having an unfortunate flush, I bet he is still happy with his score of 400 points.
I mean, that's been a hard gamble because setting up on that side has helped him earn some of those higher points at the beginning. But again, it's a risk you take, and it flushed him out on that last try. But still pretty good at 400 points.
Yeah, pretty impressive. So I think that will be it for our open canoe preliminary rounds. Make sure to stay tuned tomorrow for finals. That's going to be so exciting to see. But next up, we will have men's kayak surface quarterfinals. We're going to have a little break of, let's see, about 30 minutes. In the first heat, we will have Kenji Hanada from Japan, John Best from Great Britain, Gavin Barker also from Great Britain, Robert Crow from Great Britain, and Corey Sheehan from the United States. And that will be it for our first heat. So make sure to stay tuned. Signing out, McKinley Kate
and Charlie Kearns.
See ya.